YAH. Giving praise and honor to your old God, the King of the universe, and thanking him for this opportunity that he has blessed us with in order that we may gather before him. Praying to him that his presence would be here with us in all the places that he is allowing the children of Yisrael and those amongst the nations to call upon his name in various places of worship on this day. We thank him for allowing us to know that he created the heavens and the earth. And we understand, based on what we read in the book of Genesis, it was done in 6 days, and he ceased from all of his work on the seventh day and blessed the seventh day and has made this day a holy day. So we come before the Most High with our praise, showing our gratitude for all that he has done for us, and also praying that he will continue to bless us in the path of righteousness and in holiness and goodness and cleanliness before him, asking that he would continue to teach us the way that we should walk before him so that we may serve him in a manner that is pleasing in his sight, that we may deviate from the evils and the wrongdoing that is taking place all throughout this earth, focus our attention upon him and upon his word and upon the truth of his word, and praying that he will bless us with the spirit of holiness and righteousness so that we may also the spirit of wisdom and understanding on this day and in the days to come, as we will be continuing our reading of the book of Proverbs, praying that the Most High would bless us with the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that is necessary in order for us to survive. For as we read throughout the book of Proverbs, as it started off with collections of verses that focused on a few topics, and then as the chapter started to progress, now we've gotten to the section of Proverbs where basically every verse is giving you a different subject matter. It's giving you something or a tidbit of something that you can learn to live by, and is giving us knowledge, wisdom, and understanding so that as we read these things, hopefully that we will internalize what we are reading, internalize what we are hearing from the wisdom that was given to King Solomon, and as he is the one that is credited as being the author of a majority of the book of Proverbs, and also understanding that as it was detailed that he received this wisdom and understanding from his father, King David. So these are words that were developed within King Solomon and his personal connection with the Most High God, but is also developed from the words that King David, who also had a personal relationship with the Most High God himself, that now he's able to bring forth these words that now we that are here today are able to read these words in this book and develop knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. And some of the subject matter that we'll be going into today, of course, is centered around righteousness, centered around doing what is good and right in the sight of the Most High. It's also centered around discipline, and how discipline is very important for us to achieve. And as we achieve discipline, it will help us progress in our lives. And we're also going to learn that as we are walking in the path of righteousness before the Most High, that we are not able to do everything, and we don't learn everything by ourselves. As I just mentioned, that King Solomon received the information that he is speaking or was written based on the words that his father gave him. So there's a lot of subjects that we will be covering during this time as we go into Proverbs chapters 12 and 13. And again, just praying that the Most High will open up our lips so that our mouths may declare his praise continually, that we may serve him and worship before him in the manner that he is, because we understand that he is worthy of all praise, honor, and respect and obedience. So just praying that the Most High Prince would be among us and that he would teach us in the way that we should walk before him. So again, we will begin at this time in Proverbs chapter 12.
Proverbs chapter 12, verse 1, hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Whoso loveth knowledge loveth correction, but he that is brutish hateth reproof.
So again, one of the subject matters that we'll be going into today is about discipline, it's about correction. So if you want to make improvements in any aspect of your life, you have to be able to listen to correction, because you're not going to get it right with everything all the time. As you go to work, as you go to school, if you want to make progress in your learning and the application of the things that you're doing in school and the things that you're doing at work, you have to have your ears open for somebody to correct you. And that's how you make progress, because as you receive that correction, then you start to get better. But if you think that you know everything and that you come into a job and you come into a school knowing everything, then you don't allow yourself the opportunity to improve. because you show that you don't want to listen to anybody. So it says, that the one that loves knowledge loves correction. So if you want to, and as we started when we opened up the book of Proverbs this time around, and we define knowledge as information. So if you love getting information, you have to love being corrected. Because when you get corrected, that's how you start to get more information. And it says, but he that is brutish hates reproof. So the one that has that brutish spirit is the one that hates being corrected, that hates the reproof, that doesn't want anybody to tell him what to do. Continue.
A good man shall obtain favor of Yahweh, but a man of wicked devices will he condemn.
So, as simply put, if you want to obtain favor of Jehovah God, if you want things to go right in your life, you have to do good. And you do good by studying the commandments, statutes, and judgments that he gave to Moses, his servant, to give to the children of Israel. And then after you study them, you have to apply them. So again, if you want to obtain that favor of Jehovah God, if you want to have things go right in your life, then you have to do things that are good and right in the sight of the Most High God. And it says that after that a man of wicked devices, he will condemn. Talking about Jehovah God will condemn the person that decides to do wicked or decides to do evil and is always thinking about evil things. The wicked devices are the thoughts that people have and doing harm to other people, and not thoughts for good for anybody else. Continue.
A man shall not be established by wickedness, but the root of the righteous shall never be moved.
So we might see people in our eyes rise, but only on a financial level, due to the wickedness that they put forth. But as it says here, that an individual will not be able to be established by wickedness. It may seem good in the sight of human beings, to obtain some sort of level of success and prosperity, and primarily that comes in the form of a financial aspect. But those that build themselves up, build their quote-unquote empires, build their legacies of wickedness, they won't be established. But it says that the root of the righteous shall never be moved. So it's comparing a righteous person to a tree that has its roots deep within the ground. And when a storm comes, if a tree that has strong roots within the ground, flood waters could come by, strong winds could come by, and that tree will still stand. As opposed to a tree that has weaker roots that are not embedded deeply within the ground, a small wind could pass by, and a little bit of water could knock that tree down. So it's comparing, again, righteous people to trees. So if you want to be established forever, if you want to establish yourself in a manner that where nobody can shake you and no one can move you, then you have to establish yourself in righteousness. Continue.
A virtuous woman is a crown to her husband, but she that doeth shamefully is as rottenness in his bones.
So as it's talking about here, and this is teaching us that it's very, very important in terms of who we choose to have as a mate. And this goes for men as well as women. So it says here, the virtuous woman is a crown to her husband, because as the man goes forth and he does his duties, and as we read in the book of Genesis, when God said it was not good for man to be alone, and he would make a helpmeet for him, and he made the woman for him to help him in his duties, that way that the virtuous woman, which we read about when we get to the end of the book of Proverbs, and it details exactly what a virtuous woman is and the qualities that she has, that as her virtue, her being virtuous is a crown unto her. And it says that the one that does shamefully is as rottenness in his bones, because a man doesn't want to have a woman that is going to bring him shame. It's the same way that a woman doesn't want to have a husband that brings her shame. Because people, again, that's why it's very important to select or choose who you're going to be with, so therefore you would have no shame or minimal shame in your lives, where the things that may be shameful within your household doesn't spread out into the street. So therefore it's very important, and based on this what we read here, that it's very important for us to be selective in terms of who we're going to have as a spouse. Continue.
The thoughts of the righteous are right, but the counsels of the wicked are deceit.
So righteous people, and it seems like it's plain and simple, but righteous people are always thinking about doing the right thing. And the opposite of that, the counsels of the wicked are deceit. Those that are wicked are always looking to be deceitful, always lying, always trying to scheme or scam and cheat people. But righteous people are always thinking right all the time. Continue.
The words of the wicked are to lie in wait for blood, but the mouth of the upright shall deliver them. Because
wicked people, they always want to get an upper hand on somebody else. And as they think that the only way that they can rise above somebody else is by taking their lives. So that's why I said the words of the wicked are to lie in wait for blood. As it said in Proverbs 1, that don't listen to those that want to lie and wait for blood of people. That don't listen to those that are wicked, that want to take people down in order to build themselves up. But it said the mouth of the upright shall deliver them. The words that the upright speaks will deliver themselves and also deliver other people that wicked people are trying to attack. So therefore, if you are an upright person, you should always have righteous things to speak at all times, to deliver not only yourself, but to help deliver other people out of the hands of evil people. Continue.
The wicked are overthrown and are not, but the house of the righteous shall stand.
So some of these things are going to be repetitive. So the wicked are overthrown because, as I said before, the wicked will not be established. So as wicked people are overthrown because they can't be established, then it says that they are no more. The memory of them will be forgotten. So wicked people have their time where they think that they're rising up and that they're able to, look down upon people. But at the other side of that the house of the righteous shall stand. Again, it's comparing righteous people to a house that stands forever, that has a strong foundation, that the walls are built strong to withstand the elements, as it compared righteous people earlier to trees that have strong roots. So there's going to be a lot of metaphors, a lot of allegory given that should help us to paint that picture within our mind in terms of the difference between being righteous and being evil. Continue.
Verse 8, a man shall be commended according to his intelligence, but he that is of a distorted understanding shall be despised.
So people like intelligent people. People like people that have wisdom, that are speaking wisdom, that are acting in wisdom, that are performing in wisdom all the time. But people despise those that have that distorted or warped speech, warped mentality, warped actions, that are always doing things that are contrary to the words of God, or doing things that are contrary just to humanity, doing things that are contrary to just common sense. That those people that they may think that they're getting by for a moment, but people on the outside are just looking at them and they're despising them. So it's better to have wisdom. It's better to pursue wisdom. It's better to pursue knowledge so that you can speak with intelligence and that people will look at you and view you as a wise individual. Continue.
Better is he that is lightly esteemed and hath a servant than he that playeth the man of rank and lacketh bread.
Because people that have money don't always have to flaunt their money. So usually the people that have money, when you look at the world today and people that are in entertainment, or people that especially, people that are in entertainment specifically, like hip hop artists have been flaunting money for years. But when you look into their bank accounts, when you look into the contracts that they sign, they're really not making anything. But they give that impression that they have a lot. They buy the jewelry, they buy the cars, as they get some money, they buy the houses. But they don't really have anything. But when you think about the multi-millionaires of the world, we think about the billionaires of the world, when you see them, you don't see any riches financially in them because they don't flaunt their riches. So they'll walk around as though they're just the average person. Mm-hmm. But the people that have nothing, they want to show that they have everything when they really have nothing. So that's what it says, better is he that is lightly esteemed that has a servant. Because the people that are rich, they have other people working for them. Because again, how these people that are rich, they have organizations, they have corporations, so their servants are those that are their employees. But then you have people, again, even in the field of entertainment, all they have is themselves. They don't have anybody working for them, so all they have is themselves, but they act as though they have everything, but they're really poor. They lack bread. They're still struggling day to day. In a podcast, one of the new podcasts that came out lately, like you listen to Joe and Jada, and they talk about that even amongst the hip-hop artists, they live check to check as well. Now, the problem with them is that they spend a lot based on what they receive. So everybody in the world, no matter what your financial level is, you end up spending or living check to check. And you just give off that impression. If you make $10,000 a year, you make $100,000 a year, you make $1 million a year, you're going to end up living check to check because you're spending as your money comes in. So it's better as you receive to just, relax. You don't have to show the whole world your riches. Just relax and just play it cool. Continue.
Verse 10. A righteous man regardeth the life of his beast, but the tender mercies of the wicked are cruel.
So righteous individuals don't only regard other human beings, but they also are mindful of animals. As we read about in the book, you have people such as Moses, you have people such as David and various of people that took care of animals that were shepherds. And you see that their tenure as a shepherd, helped them in their leadership role when they had to have human beings that they were in charge of. So even a righteous person is going to regard the life of a beast. They're going to have care. They're not going to see any of their animals just go astray or be attacked and just don't think of anything about it. They're going to make sure that they protect all that they have. But it says the tender mercies of the wicked are cruel. Because even a wicked person, when they're trying to extend some sort of mercy, it's really them being wicked to you anyway. Because the way that they do it, because they have cruel intention, they do it so they can talk about you. They may extend mercy or help to you just so they can talk about you or, rule over you and take advantage of you. So that's why it's saying that the tender mercies of the wicked are cruel. Continue.
He that tilleth his ground shall have plenty of bread, but he that followeth after vain things is void of understanding.
So if you have any property, and it's talking about people, of course, you're dealing with people that had houses, you have people that had land. If you have any property and you take care of the ground, you're going to be able to sustain yourself. So in a time of financial downfall in this country or any country, if you have any plot of land, it could just be a garden in your backyard or your front yard, you have acres somewhere, you should be able to eat at all times. So while everybody's worrying about the stock market and everything else that's happening in the world, and people are thinking later on, well, where they're going to eat. If you take care of the ground that you have, or if you set your mind in acquiring property where you can have ground where you can grow, you will give yourself an opportunity to sustain yourself. But it says, he that follows after vain things is void of understanding. And it's going to talk about that subject as well, talk about those that are slothful, that have no intention of doing anything or any intention of doing any work. So if you have no intention of working, whether it's trying to get a job, establish yourself a career, have some ground to work out of, you're going to spend your life obtaining nothing. Continue.
The wicked desireth the prey of evil men, but the root of the righteous yieldeth fruit.
Because the individual doesn't want to work and get things for themselves, and those wicked individuals are the slothful ones that don't want to do anything for themselves, all they're going to desire is the prey of other people. They're going to always spend the rest of their life, depending on other people, depending on the prey of evil people that go forth and that are evil, that are doing things that are bad, and they are following after those evil people because they don't want to do the right thing for themselves and make a way for themselves. It said the root of the righteous yields fruit. So again, comparing a righteous person to a tree, someone that is righteous is also someone that works smart, along with working hard and making sure that they are bringing forth something. Continue.
In the transgression of the lips is a snare to the evil man, but the righteous cometh out of trouble.
And another subject that we're going to read about here and also other places in the Proverbs is also watching your mouth. That be careful. Don't be one of those that always have something to say. Sometimes it's good just to be quiet and just listen, because you start to speak, and it says in other places that you just speak and you speak and you speak. There's going to be some sort of transgression that comes out of your mouth. So just relax, and as I said, in the transgression of the lips is a snare to the evil man, because they trap themselves based on their words. Because they do evil, they have to always get themselves out of trouble. And in getting themselves out of trouble, they have to speak a lot. And as they speak a lot, they start lying a lot, and they start to get trapped up in their own words. But it said the righteous comes out of trouble. So just because you're righteous doesn't mean that you won't have any trouble in your life. There will be trouble that comes to you. But as you live a righteous life, you will be able to stand on your righteousness and speak few words to be able to defend yourself, to get yourself out of trouble. Continue.
A man shall be satisfied with good by the fruit of his mouth, and the doings of a man's hand shall be rendered unto him. So
this is one verse that is not comparing evil to righteous, but it's just speaking about righteous people. People are people that work hard overall. So a man that shall be satisfied with good by the fruit of his mouth. So again, keep your words few, keep your words intelligent, keep your words wise. You will get yourself out of trouble. And it said the doings of a man's hand shall be rendered unto him. What you put forth is what you get. Right. So if you do righteousness, if you work righteousness, you'll get righteousness. But if you do evil, then that's what you're going to get back in return. Because it said what you reap is what you sow. What you plant in the ground is what you're going to get out of it. Continue.
The way of a fool is straight in his own eyes, But he that is wise hearkeneth unto counsel.
Because foolish people think that they have it all on their own. They don't want to listen to anybody. They don't want to listen to counsel. They don't want to listen to correction, as it said in the beginning of the chapter. They don't want to listen to reproof. They don't want anybody to tell them anything. But the wise person listens to counsel. So as it was said earlier today, we cannot survive alone. And another theme that we see here is that righteous people, wise people, intelligent people receive information, wisdom, and understanding through other people. You receive it from the people that you hang around, or who you listen to. So you have to put yourself in a position to where you are listening. That's why it was, like I said earlier, and in various places, you have to put yourself in a position when you come into settings like this, where it's a worship service, praising the Most High God, and where people are going to also teach the Word of God. You want to put yourself in a position to where you can listen to the words that are being spoken, regardless of who is speaking it, as long as they're speaking the truth of the Word of God. Because the Most High will open up your ears when you least expect it. It may be a person that you didn't want to listen to, but the Most High will give you that wisdom through that individual. So you have to be able to put yourself in a position to where you're listening, because you're not going to get righteousness and wisdom by yourself. Continue.
A fool's vexation is presently known, but a prudent man concealeth shame.
So now he's talking about foolish people again, and their vexation, their attitude is, their personality is known by everybody. So when people see you, they say that's a foolish individual based on their actions. But a prudent person conceals shame. It doesn't mean that they never committed a shameful act. It doesn't mean that they were not caught up in any shameful activity. But a prudent person knows how to hide that. So as it said earlier, when it talked about shame, it says in verse 4, virtuous woman is a crown to her husband, but she that does shamefully is as rotten as his bones, because the rotten or the shame that she put forth was going to be known to everybody. But a prudent person, man or woman, will conceal that shame so that it's not going forth to the world. Continue.
Verse 17. He that breatheth forth truth uttereth righteousness, but a false witness deceit.
And we know from the Ten Commandments that you should not bear false witness against your neighbor. We also know in Leviticus chapter 19, it says you shall not lie one to another. You're not supposed to deceive. So a righteous person is always going to speak the truth, even if that truth is going to harm them. So even if they find themselves in trouble, the best way to get out of it is by being truthful and just be willing to face the consequences. But a false witness is someone that's going to be deceitful all the time. Continue.
There is that speaketh like the piercings of a sword, but the tongue of the wise is health.
Because we could do more harm to other people through our words than through our actions. Sometimes we say things that cut and hurt other people just by what we say. But a wise person is going to speak in a manner that is going to bring healing to other people. They're going to speak in a manner that's going to uplift people and strengthen people, as opposed to speaking in a manner that's going to cut people down the same way that a sword physically cuts people down. So a lot of the things that we see in here is to be mindful of what you're speaking at all times. Continue.
The lip of truth shall be established forever, but a lying tongue is but for a moment.
So we see these comparisons to what can establish you forever, what can establish you for a long time, and what can cause you to be no more, cause you to be not, and what is for a moment. So be a truthful person. Again, even if it's to your own hurt, just be a truthful person, and you will be established forever. You will be able to get through with any situation that comes your way. But if you lie, it's only going to last for but a moment, because people are going to realize after a while that you're lying and that everything that you say out of your mouth is a lie, and therefore people will never trust you, because all they know is that you are a liar. Continue.
Deceit in the heart of them that devise evil. Deceit is in the heart of them that devise evil, but to the counselors of peace is joy. And
you're going to see this thing about counsel, because, again, those that are righteous, those that are seeking wisdom, are always going to have counselors around them. And that's how they're going to achieve peace in their lives, because they're always going to have counsel. But it said prior to that, deceit is in the heart of them that devise evil. So those that speak evil, those that are acting evil, means that they're always thinking evil, because all that they could think about is evil. So that's what they're going to speak about, and that's what they're going to act upon. Continue.
There shall no mischief befall the righteous, but the wicked are filled with evil.
So even though the righteous person may find himself in trouble, the actual mischief that can come from that trouble won't happen to those that are righteous, because the Most High will protect them. We don't see the name of God too often in the book of Proverbs, but we know that the Proverbs are speaking wisdom that comes from God.
Right.
So you might not see the word or the name Jehovah there. You might not see the word God too much in the book of Proverbs. But it's teaching you how to get through in life. So as it says here that if you're a righteous person, no mischief is going to happen to you. But the wicked people, they're filled with evil. Because as I said earlier, they think about evil all the time. But as I said also earlier, everybody's going to get what they put their hands to do. So if you do evil, you're going to receive evil. If you do good, you're going to receive good. Continue.
22. Lying lips are an abomination to Jehovah, but they that deal truly are his delight.
So it's speaking about, again, those that lie a lot, and those that are truthful. And those that lie are an abomination to Jehovah God. Those that lie are those that he hates. Those that lie are those who he's going to punish. But those that speak truthfully and act truthfully, that stand by their word all the time, those are the ones that Jehovah God delights in. And as a result of that, they will be protected and survive any trouble that comes their way. Continue.
A prudent man concealeth knowledge, but the heart of fools proclaimeth foolishness.
So it's again showing this thing that a prudent person is going to conceal certain things. They're not going to just blurt out everything to the world, even if they have money, as I said earlier, or if they have an organization or corporation, they have money. They're going to play it cool. They're going to play the life relaxed. They're not going to just reveal everything, but it says the heart of the fools proclaims the foolishness, that whatever foolishness that they think about is going to come out of their mouths and going to come out in their actions, and that's all people are going to know them for. Continue.
The hand of the diligent shall bear rule, but the slothful shall be under tribute.
So it's speaking about this diligence, that as long as you continue to work, as long as you continue to put your hands to do something, the Most High God will establish you. So it says that the hand of the diligent shall bear rule. You will be able to establish yourself. It's going to take some time. Because even in Hebrew it says, or in another verse, like, build yourself up little by little. Build yourself up by hand. And work at it. Stay with it. You have people that, you get into a corporation, you get into an organization, you get a job somewhere, and it may be on a lower level. But just stay there, be consistent, work at it. The Most High God will bless you, and you work your way up. Either you work your way up to where you're in charge of that organization, or you work your way up to a situation to where you have your own organization. But you have to show yourself diligent, and the Most High God will bless you. But it says those that are slothful, those that don't want to do anything, they're always going to be working for somebody. They're always going to be in a situation to where they always have to ask somebody to borrow, and it's always a situation where they're borrowing, they're working for somebody, and they never get to establish themselves. So from young, you have to set your mind to working. Practice working in your house. Practice working just cleaning your room. Practice working cleaning up the house. Just practice just being diligent. And just wanted to do something all the time. And the slothful person, when you see it in comparison and by definition, is those that just want to lay around, sleep around, and do nothing. 12 midday, you're still in bed in the summer. 2 p.m. midday in the summer, you're still in bed. 5 p.m., that's when you want to get up and wash and go play some basketball for a little bit to come back in for 7 p.m. Correct. And have somebody else feed you because your parents are cooking for you. Summer's here, no school, start working. If you don't have a job, work in the house.
That's right.
Show yourself diligent, and the Most High God will bless you. Continue.
Care in the heart of a man boweth it down, but a good word maketh it glad.
And when somebody care in the heart of a man, they're talking about the concern. It's things that are worrisome to people. That worry, that concern, that care that an individual has in their mind is what's going to cause them to go down. But it says a good word will make a person glad. So as I said earlier, a wise person speaks. I said, but the tongue in verse 18 says, but the tongue of the wise is health. So we want to be those that speak healing words to other people. Be able to give a good word to individuals to make them glad, because there are a lot of people that are suffering in this world today. There are a lot of people that are going through problems in this world. But as servants of the Most High, we want to be able to speak words that will heal people's minds and ultimately help them to get out of the situations that they're in. So we don't want to be those that have the speech of a piercing with a sword, as it said in 18 as well. We want to speak words that help to build people. We want to build people up, not tear them down. Continue.
The righteous is guided by his friend, but the way of the wicked leadeth them astray.
So righteous people, again, aren't righteous on their own. They're guided by other individuals. So if you want to be considered righteous, find righteous people that you can call your friend. Those that when they see you go astray, that you will listen to their correction because they're going to tell you the right thing to do to help build you up. So righteous people don't stand on their own. They have people around them that help to build them up. They have counselors. They have friends that help them in that position. But it said the way of the wicked leads them astray because they go astray on their own. They don't want to listen to anybody, as I said at the beginning of the chapter. Because they don't want to listen to anybody, they end up going astray. Continue.
The slothful man shall not hunt his prey, but the precious substance of men is to be diligent.
So it's talking about slothful people versus diligent people once again. As it said in verse 24, it's saying it again. The slothful person, and it's talking about people because back then, in order to eat, you had, most people hunted their food down or they would work in the ground to develop, fruits and vegetables from the ground. If you don't want to put your hands to anything, you're not going to catch anything. If you don't set a trap, don't expect to catch any animals. But it says that the precious substance of men is to be diligent. Again, the more that you work, the more that you be diligent in something, the more that you're going to receive. Continue.
In the way of righteousness is life, and in the pathway thereof there is no death.
And there is no death because your legacy lives on even after you. Because you lived a righteous life, you received the joys and peace of life, and then even after you die, people continue to talk about you as though you're still here. But when it said earlier, the way of the wicked is cruel, that there will be no more, people are just going to be glad when you're gone. And you have no legacy, and nobody's going to be speaking about you again. We read about King David and his right. He made his mistakes in the life. We read about other people that made their mistakes, but we still speak about them because of the righteousness that they established overall. And thousands of years later, we're still speaking about them. But those that are evil, we don't speak about them at all. Continue.
Hallelujah. Chapter 13. A wise son is instructed of his father, but a scorner heareth not rebuke.
So this is Solomon listening to his father, receiving instruction from his father. So children, whether son or daughter, that want to be known as wise children, listen to your parents. Because your parents are the ones that are going to look out for you. Of course, not in the world we live in today, not all parents care about their children. But for the most part, your parent is the first individuals that actually care about you. So being that they're the first individuals that actually care about you, they want to do the best that they can for you. Especially if you're living in a household where you're still with your parent, you see your parent going to work and doing the things that they have to do in order to maintain the household and maintain you. They're going to care about you, so you might want to listen to the things that they say and also follow the practices, the good practices that they're establishing. But it says a scorner hears not rebuke. A scorner, again, is someone that refuses instruction, refuses counsel, and doesn't want to listen to anybody. So whether it's a child, listen to a parent, whether it's an individual, listen to righteous friends, righteousness and wisdom comes in the collective of people coming together to give that counsel. Continue.
A man shall eat good from the fruit of his mouth, but the desire of the faithless is violence.
So again, what you speak about is most likely what you're thinking about, and what you speak about is what ends up being your actions, and your actions is going to bring forth to you whether it's good or evil. But it said the desire of the faithless is violence. People that have no faith, people that have no trust in life, all they could think about is doing harm to somebody else because they don't have any diligence in their lives. They are slothful. They don't want to work. So the only way that they could think about establishing themselves or getting something is by violence, is by robbing, is by murdering, is by doing harm to somebody else. Continue.
He that guardeth his mouth keepeth his life, but for him that openeth wide his lips, there shall be ruin.
So again, we have to be mindful of what we speak. Let your words be few. As it says other places in Proverbs, fool wouldn't be known that, just to paraphrase, you wouldn't know a fool unless they speak. And a foolish person, if they speak few words, people would think they're wise because they're not speaking a lot. But once you start speaking, then it reveals to people who you truly are. So if you guard your mouth, you don't get into trouble. You don't go out there in the streets, you don't go out there and work, you don't go out there in school and start speaking about a lot of things and get yourself in trouble to where now you need other people to come and help you because your mouth got you in a situation that you can't get yourself out of. So keep your words few and you won't have any trouble. But those that open wide their mouth, open their lips all the time, they always find themselves in trouble because they're always saying something that's angering or upsetting somebody else and bringing trouble upon themselves. Continue.
The soul of the sluggard desireth and hath nothing, but the soul of the diligent shall be abundantly gratified.
So as this theme is occurring over and over again, we should start to listen to these words and know that we should not be sluggish, we should not be slothful, but instead be diligent, because as it says, we will be blessed. The diligent will be abundantly gratified. You know, work is going to be work, but you still have to do it if you want to achieve something. Yes, sir. But if you live your life not doing anything, then you won't receive anything. So people want the easy way out in life, but there really is no easy way of life. And back in Genesis, God cursed the ground, and for Adam's sake, it said that the ground is cursed. Human beings are going to have to work continually in order to get something. It's not going to be easy. But the more that you work at something, the easier things get as well. Think about anybody that has any trade, that has any skill. The more that they work at their craft, the easier it becomes. So whether, you know, an electrician, after they do things over and over again, it becomes repetitive, then the blessings come. Or carpentry, or whatever it is that you do, if you do it over and over again, you continue to work, the Most High God will bless you in that, and you'll be able to receive the fruit of the ground, so to speak. Continue.
A righteous man hateth lying, but a wicked man behaveth vilely and shamefully.
So it said earlier that Jehovah considers the liars an abomination unto him, but righteous people also hate lying.
Right.
Because they want to be around people that are truthful. They want to be around people that are speaking the truth and not deceiving. But it said, but a wicked man behaves vilely and shamefully. Again, we also see about this theme of shame. People that don't want to be around shameful people. And you shouldn't want to be a shameful individual. You're proclaiming your shame to the world. Continue.
Righteousness guardeth him that is upright in the way, but wickedness overthroweth the sinner.
So as long as a righteous person continues to walk in that upright path, they'll be protected from anything that comes their way, and they'll be able to stand firm in that way. They'll be able to stand strong as a tree or as a house, so that anything that comes against them in the way, they will be protected from it. The wicked person is overthrown by the sin that they perform. So again, this is another theme that recurs all the time, that what you put forth is what you receive. Give forth righteousness, you'll receive righteousness. Do evil, you'll receive evil. Continue.
There is that pretendeth himself rich, yet hath nothing. There is that pretendeth himself poor, yet have great wealth.
And we read something just like that in the previous chapter. That there are those that pretend to be rich,
right,
but they really don't have anything. They flaunt in front of everybody. They get the clothes, they get the jewelry, they get the car, but they really have nothing, because now you don't really see what they're doing behind the scenes. The amount of loans that they had to acquire in order to get the clothes and the jewelry, and how they're always living behind check to check, because they're always paying somebody back. They're paying a bank back, they're paying a friend, they're paying somebody back, because they really have nothing, but they want to show forth that they have something. Then there are those people that you look at them, regular clothes, no jewelry, no anything, but have a whole bunch of money.
That's right.
Because they know how to navigate in life. So you can't really tell an individual based on how they look. I just say, don't judge a book by its cover. So again, it's always best to be prudent. If you have something, everybody doesn't have to know it. And if you have nothing, don't act as though you do, because you're not going to be able. You're not helping yourself by doing so. Continue.
The ransom of a man's life are his riches, but the poor heareth no threatening. Because
a rich person, and if you think about like how it plays out in movies and TV shows, a rich person is always getting into trouble. They're always kidnapping somebody in their family. Something's always happening. They got to pay off some ransom to somebody because they have money. People know that, because again, if you start flaunting that you have money, people know you have the money. They're going to do something to you to get some of your money from you. So the ransom of a man's life are his riches, because if they know you're rich, you're going to always be paying off a ransom for something. But a poor person that has nothing, nobody threatens them, because nobody wants to bother them, because they know that there's nothing they can get from them. So there's no gain from trying to do any harm. You're not going to kidnap somebody and not going to be able to get anything from them. Continue.
The light of the righteous rejoiceth, but the lamp of the wicked shall be put out.
So now it's comparing righteous people righteous and wicked people to lights. So the bills are always paid for a righteous person. The lights are always on.
Torah, yeah.
But the wicked person, the lamp is always, the flame is always going out. They're not shining on anybody, and nobody's shining anything on them. So that's, again, the comparison here. So we see that through righteousness, you have a light that can shine and help other people as well. Wicked people are not in a position where they can help anybody because that's why their lamp is always put out. Continue.
By pride cometh only contention, but with the well-advised is wisdom.
So when we find ourselves in situations where we're arguing, we have beef, we have problems, we have to look at ourselves and look at, is it our pride? Is it based on how we perceive ourselves and how we perceive other people in our own eyes? Because once you start to live a life of a proud person, looking down on people, then that's why you're going to have problems in your life. But if you just humble yourself and relax, then you won't have so many problems. It says that's why I said with the well-advised is wisdom. Again, wise people have people around them to teach them wisdom. Wisdom is not something that we're just going to get just like that. The Most High God is going to place people around us that will give us that wisdom. So we have to keep our eyes open and our ears open to the wisdom that God is going to give us, and that's going to come through other people. And that is also a humbling experience, because being able to listen to people will show your humility. But when you think you have it all and you don't want to listen to anybody, then you show that you're a haughty person or a proud person. So a sign of humility is putting yourself in a position to where you want to listen to people and hear what they have to say. Continue.
Verse 11. Wealth gotten by vanity shall be diminished, but he that gathereth little by little shall increase.
So just take your time. That's just the verse here where it says, he that gathered by hand. That's, in the Hebrew, it's talking about by hand. But it translated here little by little. Just put your hands to some sort of task. Be diligent with it. Work at it. Build yourself through it. Establish yourself, and you will get more and more. It's going to take time. You don't want to achieve that overnight success, that windfall that comes overnight, because the same way that you are built up, just as fast as you build yourself up or are built up, is the same speed that you can be torn down. But if you take your time and build yourself up, and you're mindful of what you're doing as you go along, you would know how to protect what you're doing. You know how to be skillful at what you're doing. Your talents would increase, and therefore you would be established because you're doing it little by little. Continue.
Hope deferred maketh the heart sick, but desire fulfilled is a tree of life.
So what stresses people out is the fact that they're looking for something and they're not receiving it. So that's why the hope deferred makes the heart sick. The mind becomes sick because they're hopeful of something that they're not achieving. But the desire fulfilled is the tree of life. People start to live. They feel joy once that desire or that hope that they were looking for, they are able to achieve that. But again, as you put in everything together, it's the work that we put forth, working little by little, putting your hands to be righteous, listening to people in the wisdom that they're giving forth, and therefore you'll be able to establish yourself, and you have that tree of life. Continue.
Whoso despiseth the word shall suffer thereby, but he that feareth the commandment shall be rewarded.
So again, by listening to people, that's how we establish ourselves. But those that will refuse or despise the words that come from people, they're going to suffer the consequences by not listening. Again, if a child doesn't listen to their parent and their parent is warning them about something, chances are when they go out there in the world, the thing that the parent or the parents warn them about is the same thing that's going to happen to them. Or if you have friends that are warning you about something, don't go in that path, don't go in that direction, do this instead of doing that. If you don't want to listen to the wisdom, then you're going to find yourself in a situation that you can't get yourself out of. But he says that, but he that fears the commandment shall be rewarded. Those that fear the commandment of God are those that perform the commandments of God, and God will reward you for being obedient to his word. Continue.
The teaching of the wise is a fountain of life, to depart from the snares of death.
So again, this teaching comes from other wise people. That fountain that's going to have those living waters is going to come from other people. So this teaching of the wise is by listening to other people that teach the word of God. Wherever you go, wherever congregation or situation you find yourself in, you want to attach yourself to people that are teaching the word of God and teaching wisdom, and that's how you would get life. And it would cause you to depart from the snares of death. It cause you to get out of trouble. Continue.
Good understanding giveth grace, but the way of the faithless is harsh.
So if you want to obtain that grace and favor that comes from God, you have to obtain that good understanding. You have to, again, keep your ears open to and keep your eyes open to what you're reading here. Keep your ears open to the commandments of God. But the way of the faithless is harsh, because they're going to receive a harsh reality in their lives because they're not living and acting on any type of faith at all. Continue.
Every prudent man dealeth with forethought, but a fool unfoldeth folly.
So the person that has prudence, They're concealing shame, as I said earlier, and they're thinking ahead. The forethought is something in the future. They always have a plan. They always have a goal. They always have an objective or goals or objectives. So they're always thinking ahead. The prudent person is always, the wise person is always thinking about what's the next step for success and prosperity. Of course, we know success and prosperity comes from God, but as we live our lives in our fear of God, we're thinking ahead and thinking about what's the next step to get to the next goal or get to the next objective. But the fool unfolds folly because they're not thinking ahead. They're not planning ahead, so therefore everything that comes to them is going to be foolishness because all they put forth is foolishness, and that's what they're going to receive. So we have to be people that are always thinking ahead. So today, the Sabbath day, we relax, we rest our minds, but when tomorrow comes in, what is your next step? Whether you go to work tomorrow or go to work on Monday, whatever it is, but what's your next step? What is your plan for 5 years from now? What is your plan from 10 years from now? You got to start having those plans from now. So a prudent person is always thinking ahead. So therefore, they're always prepared for any trouble. Because you also got to prepare for the trouble. As you're thinking ahead, what's going to happen with the economy? What's going to happen in the world? You're thinking ahead to protect yourself emotionally and financially as well. So being prudent means thinking ahead. Continue.
A wicked messenger falleth into evil, but a faithful ambassador is health.
So the wicked messenger is a person that's sending a message for a wicked person, or carrying on wicked actions. They're going to fall into evil because that's all they're doing. But the faithful ambassador, the person that is faithful to their teachers, or the child is faithful to their parents, they're going to receive good health along with good wealth in their lives. Continue.
Verse 18. Poverty and shame shall be to him that refuseth instruction, but he that regardeth reproof shall be honored.
So listen now. Whether you're in your teens, whether you're in your 20s, whether your 30s, again, listen to instruction.
Right.
And that's how you're going to stay away from shame and stay away from poverty. Because by listening to people are going to give you advice. And you start listening now, especially if you're a teenager, and you start listening now, and people start asking you, well, what is it that you want to do when you get older? What is the career path that you want to get into? You start listening now, and then you could get the instructions on how you can get into that career goal. There are people on this earth that have gone through those situations already. There are people on this earth that have gone through college already. There are people on this earth that had the jobs already that you're trying to get into, and they can give you the instructions on how to get into that. But if you want to refuse those instructions, then you're not going to be in a position to where you can be able to skate through college and skate through life or skate through your career because you think that you have it all to yourself. So keep your ears open to what people are telling you, and that way you regard the reproof, and therefore you'll be honored in the end. Continue.
The desire accomplished is sweet to the soul, and it is an abomination to fools to depart from evil.
So the prudent person having that forethought, once they achieve the goal that they had set forth, then they start to relax, and they start to, it says it's sweet to their soul. Because now they're happy, because now that you worked hard and you see the fruits of your labor, it starts to make you happy. Yes. It also makes you protect the things that you have done as well. Because as you build, you don't want to see anybody destroy it. So it causes you to protect it, but you start to feel good that you was able to achieve what you worked so hard for. But those that go forth in violence, they're not satisfied. Because all they want to do is do more violence, because they're never going to be satisfied in life. But again, if you work hard, you're diligent, you take your time with achieving things, then in the end, you'll be able to relax. And it's an abomination to fools to depart from evil. Foolish people hate departing from evil.
Right.
Because all they're thinking about is doing evil and doing evil to other people, and that's how they think they could establish themselves. Continue.
He that walketh with wise men shall be wise, but the companion of fools shall smart for it.
So again, it's all about the company that you keep. This theme continues to show over and over again. Your righteousness is not by yourself. Your wisdom is not by yourself. It's through the company that you keep. So in this congregation, in any congregation, attach yourself with righteous people or wise people. They're going to be both ends in every location that you're in, whether it's a congregation, whether it's in school, whether it's in your job. You're going to have righteous people, you're going to have wicked people. Mm-hmm. But if you want to be righteous, you got to attach yourself to righteous people. Do that walk with righteous people, because all you're going to be hearing is righteous words and righteous thoughts that will help to guide you, and then in turn, you help them as well. But if you walk around with wicked companions, all you're going to do is tear each other down. You want to put yourself in by walking with people that are going to help build you up and that you can help build up. Continue.
Evil pursueth sinners, but to the righteous good shall be repaid.
Because the sinner, all they're doing is the righteousness, so all that's going to come after them is evil. They're never going to be satisfied with anything in life. But the righteous individual that does good, they're going to receive good. If you have, like I said earlier in the Proverbs, if you have it to give, then you give. And just let the Most High bless you. Don't tell an individual, come back tomorrow when you know you have it by you. Because the good that you do is going to come back to you anyway. It's like when God says that somebody is poor, and by the command of God, you're required to lend them, and you're not supposed to charge interest. But the Most High can bless you even more beyond what that individual could pay you back. So therefore, as it says here, evil pursues sinners, but to the righteous, good shall be repaid. So the good that you prove, and it's not just financial, but the good deeds that you do in life, the good things you do for other people, the good words that you speak, can also be repaid. Because now when you find yourself in a situation that you think you can't get yourself out of, the Most High will send somebody to you to speak good words to help you get out of that situation, the same way that previously your words helped somebody else get out of the situation that they were in. So whatever it is that you do good, the Most High will make sure that you're repaid up for it. Continue.
A good man leaveth an inheritance to his children's children, and the wealth of the sinner is laid up for the righteous.
So good people, righteous people always, again, or prudent people always have forethought. They're thinking ahead. They want to establish that legacy that can be established for generation after generation. As it's speaking here, talk about that generational wealth. Because a lot of the money and a lot of the things and a lot of the items that people acquired, as it says here, they're portraying that role of being rich. It's not anything that they can pass on to children or children's children. But when you have actual wealth, or what they call generational wealth again, that's something that can go from generation to generation. You establish yourself to where your children are comfortable and your children's children are comfortable. So good people have something that they can leave as an inheritance. But the wealth of the sinner that goes forth and get things by violence, that when their time comes, everything that they amass is going to go to righteous people anyway. So the righteous person is going to be repaid through all of the things that were acquired by the sinful person. Continue.
Much food is in the tillage of the poor, but there is that is swept away by want of righteousness.
So the person that is poor, they don't have the financial wealth, but they have much food because they work. They have a ground, the poor person has property, they work the ground, they're able to develop the fruits and vegetables and everything, or raise animals to where they're sustained. But even though, again, it still calls them poor, but because they're diligent in their work, they always have food. But it says, but there is that is swept away by one of righteousness. When a congregation or community, organization, or any situation doesn't have righteousness established there, it will be swept away.
Right.
So this is not even comparing one thing to another, just giving two different complete thoughts. And again, people are swept away, houses are swept away due to a lack of righteousness. And that lack of righteousness also comes in the form of having a lack of judgment, where anything goes within that household, anything goes within that community, anything goes within that congregation or community eventually be torn down because of that want or lack of righteousness within that place. Continue.
He that spareth his rod hateth his son, but he that loveth him chasteneth him betimes. So
now we're living in a time where people are speaking against beating children. But as it says here, if you spare that rod, you don't want to chastise your child, you're actually showing that you hate them. Because if you love that child, you want to make sure that they're corrected. You want to make sure that they are directed in the right path, and sometimes it may be through the use of the rod. Because using the rod will help to correct them. And it shows that you love them because you're preparing them for also a harsh world. Of course, the world is not or should not be beating them harshly, just like a parent shouldn't be harshly beating their child. But you're preparing your children for the harshness of the world by correcting them. And again, we live in a time where not just amongst this setting or religious settings, but just in the liberal world, people are doing studies and bringing forth studies that show that beating children should not be done. But we see what's happening in the world where we have a generation of children that would never beat. we see what's happening in the world where there's no correction. So it's about getting back to the things that actually have worked. People that are alive today in their 70s and 80s have gone through certain situations in their life via their parents, and they're still established today. And they of course, as children end up doing things, but they end up getting corrected. Also, it says later on in the Proverbs that if you beat the child, they're not going to die. But this one says beat them early. Beat them now before the world beats them. Beat them now and correct them before they get out of hand later on. Because you don't, again, and that's how you show that you love your children, by correcting them. But if you do otherwise, then you show that you don't love them. And your child, if you don't correct your child, they may be good to you in your house, but they're not good to anybody else. Because all they've done is learn to respect you, but they haven't learned to respect anybody else in the world. And that's why you have children that haven't been under the rod. They're disrespectful to everybody else, even though their parents think that they're so great and so good, because they haven't been corrected. So they could put on the persona or the facade that they are good children, but everybody else realizes they're not good children. So as it says here, he that spares his rod hates his son. But he that loves him chastises him beatime, which is actually early. Again, beating them, chastising them before the world beats them. Continue.
The righteous eateth to the satisfying of his desire, but the belly of the wicked shall want. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. So again, as it rounds everything up, just work hard, be diligent. The righteous is going to eat and be satisfied. Their desires going to be satisfied. But the belly of the wicked, the person that does evil to other people, they're not going to be satisfied. They're always going to want something. So we thank the Most High God for our lives. We thank him for strength, for good health, and the opportunity that he has given us to call upon his name, to worship before him, and praying that his presence would be among us, that he will continue to guide us in the way that we should walk before him. And at this time, we're going to do the prayer for the sick. So I'm calling up Chief Mekobadi, Mekoin Levy, to lead this portion.